At 10 years old, I was raped by my father for over a year and a half until one of my older siblings finally got the courage to tell a school counselor, and I have decided to tell my story publicly. And this is part 3. So, my last video, I talked about the first passes that my father made at me, and then the first time that he had me go down on him. Now, my father didn't start making passes at me until a good couple months after we had already moved in with him. I know he did start with my sisters first, because when he finally started getting to the point where he had me go down on him, my 2 older siblings were in the living room with us, and he would also have intercourse with them in front of me. And I guess it's because I was younger and he was trying to show me that it was okay. I had never heard the word sex. I knew absolutely nothing about it. They didn't even teach it at school at this point. So those times that he was doing it with my older siblings, there were a few times that he tried to do it with me, but he just could not get it in there. Sorry, I had to pause for just a second. I've never told my entire story to anyone. I have friends that know little bits and pieces, but those times he couldn't get it in. I remember the very first time that he did, we were in the shower in his and his girlfriend's room, and he had tried in there. He still couldn't do it. So once we got out of the shower, he put a towel down on their bed, and that was the first time that he was able to do it all the way. I remember asking him why there were blood on the bed, and he told me it was because he popped my cherry. I remember that night while we were in the shower, he just kept making just really, he kept talking about my hairy legs. I was 10 years old. I'd never shaved. So I remember going to my older siblings, like asking them, like, how do I shave my legs? And as a funny little side note, just to lighten the mood, my sisters told me that I was supposed to shave everything. So I did. I shaved my arms, I shaved my face, I shaved my chest. Now, when my father would do this to us, he never really hit on us. There was one time when I threatened to tell somebody I was going to run to the neighbors. He threw me to the ground. He sat on me and he held his hand over my face really hard so nobody could hear me screaming. But he was never abusive about it, and he almost made us feel like it was a competition between sisters, because sometimes he would take us out and he would have those little bottles of alcohol and we would drink, and he would take us out to a secluded place, and he would do it with all of us. There's a lot more instances of that I'll talk about. But then there was times that he would take us one at a time to the room, or there was times that he would take one of us to go get candy or go buy something afterwards. So he made it, to me anyways, made it feel like it wasn't fair that he was taking my sisters, because I knew that they were going to go get something. I knew, I feel like this is going to be taken the wrong way. I was 10 years old, and I don't know why my brain thought of it that way, but it was like, it was the only kind of attention that we really got. He wasn't abusive, but he really made it like it was child labor. He was a construction worker, and he would steal lumber from his company or wherever he worked, and he would bring truckloads on truckloads home, and me and my 2 siblings, we would sit out there and have to unload that truck. And I mean, we would have to saw down trees and cut it up and stack it. We had a a barn fire, and we were the ones that had to go clean that up, to the point where neighbors seen this, and children's services were called on multiple occasions. And I remember them coming in and sitting down with my siblings and I, but my father was also always present in the room. They never talked to us outside of his presence. And they asked us if we were being treated okay, if we were being hurt, or beat in any way. And of course, we said no because our father was right there. We were also asked by his girlfriend, wife, but that's later on. But what I'm trying to say is, I guess he made me feel like that as a child, because I knew if I wasn't getting attention in that way, then I was going to be the one that had to go outside and work while he took one of them, and then afterwards they would go get treated for it. And you really pretty much just see that coercive control from the very moment that he made his first passes and touched on me and pulled my pants back and looked down my pants, how uncomfortable I felt that I wrecked the four-wheeler, to we get to the point where I'm upset, I'm sad because he's taken my sister to their room, or taken my sister somewhere instead. And then we actually did have some good times. He did take us on vacation. He took us to Six Flags multiple times, but there was never a vacation where he wasn't having sex with one of his daughters. I don't know, I guess it's just, for me, I was a 10-year-old girl wanting attention and love from my father, and that's the way that he showed it. And like I said, he showed me him doing it with my older siblings first, and kind of made me feel like, okay, well then that's okay to do, because he never did it in like a really like hit us or hold us down kind of way. He almost did it in a kind of a loving way that made me think that there was nothing really wrong with what he was doing, even though he told us to never tell anybody and that he would kill us if we told anybody. I still didn't even really know that that was sex, that was something that grown-ups do, that people that love each other do. I didn't know. I knew that he did it with my stepmom because he had to sit down and watch a video. I'll get into that later. But I thought it was just something that we did.